वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचानूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णो वन्दे जगद्गुरुं श्रीकृष्णो वन्दे जगद्गुरुम् ॐ श्रीकृष्णार्पणमस्तु. Pranams from Dr. R.J. Kalpana. Welcome to the study of the Bhagavad Gita. In this session, we will continue with our study of chapter 18, MokshaSannyasaYoga, the yoga of liberation through renunciation. Shloka 20. That by which man perceives one imperishable divine existence as undivided and equally present in all individual beings, know that knowledge to be Sattvika. So Bhagavan Krishna here says that there is one imperishable divine existence, the unmanifested reality, which is one, and from which the manifested divinity takes place and is equally present in all beings in the form of the soul, the Jivatma. This type of knowledge is called Sattvika knowledge because it is the highest truth that can be taught. Shloka 21. That, however, by which man cognizes many existences of various kinds as apart from one another in all beings, know that knowledge to be Rajasika. So here Krishna says that when a man understands that there are various kinds of existences, there are as many souls as there are as many bodies, and that they are all distinct from one another and are independent of each other. And that kind of knowledge is known to be Rajasika knowledge because it is not true knowledge. It is defined as knowledge only by name, but it is only a hollow reality. Shloka 22. Again, that knowledge which clings to one body as if it were the whole and which is irrational, has no real object and is trivial, has been declared as tamasika. So that knowledge, Krishna says, which perceives the body as the only existence, as the only truth, does not understand the concept of the soul, does not recognize the concept of the soul, and therefore is not even accepting of the soul. That irrational, trivial knowledge is declared as tamasika. Now, we will proceed to what Krishna describes as the three types of action. Shloka 23. That action which is ordained by the scriptures and is not accompanied by the sense of doership and has been done without any partiality or prejudice by one who seeks no return is called Sattvika. That action which is prescribed by the Veda Shastras and which is done in a detached manner or in a manner of non-attachment without any ego or pride, and which is done without any desire for results or rewards, with no expectations that something has to be received in return. It is not a transactional action. That type of action is called sattvika because that is the highest and the purest form of action, to do one's duty without a sense of doership and with no expectations of rewards. Shloka 24. That action, however, which involves much strain and is performed by one who seeks enjoyments or by a man full of egotism, has been spoken of as Rajasika. Now here Krishna talks about that action which involves strain, physical, mental, emotional strain, and is conducted by people full of ego and is merely directed towards appeasement of the senses. That type of action is called Rajasika. Shloka 25. That action which is undertaken through sheer ignorance, without counting the upshot, loss to oneself, injury to others, and one's own capacity, is declared as tamasika. And so Krishna here says that those actions which are undertaken out of ignorance and without any consideration of another's welfare is declared to be tamasika type of actions. Now Krishna goes on to describe the three types of karta, or the doer. In Shloka 26, Krishna says, free from attachment, unegotistic, endowed with firmness and vigor, and unswayed by success and failure, such a doer is said to be sattvika. So a doer who can call himself sattvika has to be detached from his actions, should not be driven by ego. The ego must be sublimated with humility, and yet must perform his actions with firmness and confidence and remain in complete equipoise at the results of the actions, be it success or failure. And such a doer can call himself sattvika. Shloka 27. The doer who is full of attachment, seeks the fruit of actions, and is greedy, and who is oppressive by nature and of impure conduct, and is affected by joy and sorrow, has been called Rajasika. The Rajasika people, whose nature is driven towards desires, greed, selfishness, and who is attached to the fruits of their actions and is swayed constantly by the joys and sorrows, pleasure and pain. Such doers know them to be of the Rajasika type. Shloka 28. Lacking piety and self-control, uncultured, arrogant, deceitful, inclined to rob others of their livelihood, slothful, downhearted, and procrastinating, such a doer is called tamasika. So here Krishna talks about the nature of people who are predominantly tamasika. Their actions are endowed with arrogance, they're uncultured and depressed for the most part, or downhearted and lazy. Having thus classified jnana, karma, and karta in the order of sequence of the gunas and the tendencies which motivate actions, right? Now, Krishna undertakes to classify the order in the sequence of buddhi and dhriti. Shloka 29. Now hear, Arjuna, the threefold division based on the predominance of each guna, of buddhi and dhriti also, which is being told by me in full, one by one. So here Krishna goes on to explain that there is another type of classification by buddhi, which is the intellect, the faculty of determination of intellect, and dhriti, which is also a function of intellect, but which is a steadfastness in holding on to a particular idea, a single-mindedness to hold on to an idea. So Krishna now is going to introduce us to these two concepts based on the gunas, on the three divisions of tendencies. Shloka 30. The intellect which correctly determines the paths of activity and renunciation, what ought to be done and what should not be done, what is fear and what is fearlessness, what is bondage, what is liberation, that intellect is sattvika. So the intellect which correctly determines the right course of action to undertake, which has the discriminatory capacity, viveka as we call it, of what ought to be done and what ought not to be done. An understanding of what actions lead towards bondage and what leads us towards liberation. That intellect is called sattvika. Shloka 31. The intellect by which man does not truly perceive what is dharma and what is adharma, what ought to be done and what should not be done, that intellect is rajasika. And so here Krishna says that the buddhi or the intellect of a person who is unable to differentiate between dharma and adharma, with virtues of compassion, such a temperament is known as rajasika. Shloka 32. The intellect which imagines even adharma to be dharma and sees all other things upside down, wrapped in ignorance, that intellect is tamasika, Arjuna. So Krishna here talks about the buddhi, the tamasika buddhi, which steadfastly believes that adharma is dharma, with a kind of piggishness, and is unable to discriminate the difference, discern the difference, and understand or perceive the truth, and is so wrapped in ignorance. Such an intellect is tamasika. Shloka 33. The unwavering firmness by which man controls through the yoga of meditation the functions of the mind, the vital airs and the senses, That firmness, Arjuna, is Sattvika. So here Krishna defines Sattvika Dhriti, the firmness, the unwavering firmness, steadfastness of the mind of the man who controls through the yoga of meditation the functions of the mind, the vital airs and the senses. That dhriti or that steadfastness is known as the highest type of Sattvika. Shloka 34. The dhriti, however, by which the man seeking a reward for his actions clutches with extreme fondness virtues, earthly possessions and worldly enjoyments, that dhriti is Rajasika, Arjuna. So, the Rajasika dhriti is to hold on to worldly attachments, to worldly objects, to worldly enjoyments. Shloka 35. The firmness by which an evil-minded person refuses to shake off, that is, clings to sleep, fear, anxiety, sorrow and vanity as well, that firmness is Tamasika. So the Tamasika dhriti is people who focus and cling on to laziness, to sleep, to fear, to vanity, for no cause whatsoever. And that type is known as Tamasika. So having thus classified Buddhi and Dhriti under the three tendencies of Sattvika, Rajasika and Tamasika in order of sequence, Bhagavan Krishna now undertakes to classify joy as well. Shloka 36 and 37. Now hear from me the threefold joy too, that in which the sadhaka finds enjoyment through the practice of adoration, meditation and service to God, etc., and whereby he reaches the end of sorrow. Such a joy, though appearing as poison in the beginning, tastes like nectar in the end. Hence that joy, born as it is of the placidity of mind, brought about by meditation on God, has been declared as Sattvika. So here Krishna talks about how the abhyasi, the sadhaka, who does sadhana, the abhyasi who does abhyas, the practitioners of meditation, who focus on the divine through meditation, through service, through bhakti, and such a joy tastes like nectar because it is born out of a mind that is calm, a mind that is calm and a calmness that is hard won through arduous practice, self-control and tremendous self-discipline. No doubt the path will be long and the hardships many. The challenges will be truly challenging. But what is difficult in the beginning will soon smooth itself out into such joy that it becomes a shower of divine grace, a nectar that can be tasted in the end. and such a joy is declared to be that of Sattvika, where the mind can only get purified through constant practice of meditation on the divine. Shloka 38. The delight which follows from the contact of the senses with their objects is eventually poison-like, though appearing at first as nectar. Hence it has been spoken of as Rajasika. And therefore Krishna says that that delight, that joy which is contracted because of sense indulgence, though it might at first be attractive and admirable, will only result in poison and aversion eventually. And that type of sorrow, of joy, is known as Rajasika. Shloka 39. That which stupefies the self during its enjoyment, as well as in the end, deprived from sleep, indolence, and obstinate error, such delight has been called Tamasika. And therefore here Krishna says that that joy which completely deludes the mind through sheer obstinacy, through error, through laziness, such joy is called as Sattvika, because it clouds the man's judgment and he neglects his duty. When the faculty of judgment gets obscured through ignorance, such a joy is Tamasika by nature. Shloka 40. There is no being on earth or in the middle region or even among the gods or anywhere else which is free from these three gunas born of Prakriti. And here Krishna says that there is nowhere can people or entities who have been created, either in earth or immediately beyond earth, and even the different celestial worlds, they are all subject to the gunas that are evolutes of Prakriti. Shloka 41. The duties of the Brahmanas, the Kshatriyas and the Vaishyas, as well as of the Shudras, have been divided according to their inborn qualities, Arjuna. So Arjuna here is addressed directly by Krishna, saying that according to their inborn qualities, to their natural tendencies, to the nature of their beings, the duties of the social orders of Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas and Shudras have been divided. Now this has to be properly understood, because for too long we have been subjected to foreign invasions who have sought to break our culture, who have sought to break our knowledge, who have redefined and distorted the knowledge that we've had. And after centuries of such humiliating practices, once more we have begun to access our texts on our own terms, in our own understandings. So let us understand this, that this is the reason why we have Brahmins, because of their natural inclination towards the divine. Those who walk on the path of Brahma are known as Brahman, Those who have realized Brahma are known as Brahmins. Those who are natural aggressors walk on the path of Kshatriyas. Their talents lie in action, and so too with Vaishyas and Sudras. The sum total of tendencies are formed as a result of actions performed by the soul through countless past lives, and it is nothing but samskaras that result in people gravitating towards certain interests, people naturally having certain tendencies. And that is the reason why, even in a family, we understand, and if we notice and observe, even amongst ourselves, amongst our own families, if we observe, though children are born of the same parents, they grew up in the same environment, and yet by nature they are so different. Why? Precisely because of their samskaras. They have brought forth certain definitive samskaras from accumulative past lives, and therefore it results in certain types of actions by them. Shloka 42. Subjugation of the mind and senses, enduring hardships for the discharge of one's sacred obligations, external and internal purity, forgiving the faults of others, straightness of mind, senses, and behavior, belief in the Vedas and other scriptures, God and life after death, study and teaching of the Vedas and other scriptures, and realization of the truth relating to God. All these constitute the natural duty of a Brahmana. And so here Krishna very precisely lists out the expectations, the duties, the terms and conditions of those who walk on the path of spirituality. Self-discipline of the mind and the senses. Discharge your duties irrespective of the hardships and the compromises that one has to make. Maintain purity of mind and body. Forgive the faults of others. Straightforwardness in mind, senses, and behavior. Believe, have Shraddha, have faith in the Shastras. Study and teach the Shastras to others. All these constitute the natural duty of a Brahmana. And for practitioners of heartfulness meditation, these are but the 10 maxims of Babuji. Shloka 43. Exhibition of valor, fearlessness, firmness, cleverness, and steadiness in battle, bestowing gifts and lordliness, all these constitute the natural duty of a Kshatriya. And so here Krishna says that the natural duty of those who walk on the path of action is to exhibit fearlessness, strength, cleverness, and steadiness in battle. They should have nobility of character, nobility of mind, and exceptional valor. Shloka 44. agriculture, rearing of cows, and honest exchange of merchandise, these constitute the natural duty of a Vaishya, a member of the merchant class, and service of the other classes is the natural duty of a Shudra, the member of the laboring class. So farming, business, economics, export, import, all these belong to the duties of those belonging to the Vaishya community of the merchant class. And the laborers, the artisans, those who are in the business of customer service, those are the duties of the Shudras. Shloka 45. Keenly devoted to his own natural duty, man attains the highest perfection in the shape of God realization. Here the mode of performance whereby the man engaged in his inborn duty reaches that highest consummation. So here Krishna says that people, because of their because of their innate nature, have certain natural duties, and therefore by execution of said duties they are able to attain the highest perfection of God realization. And so now Krishna will further reveal to us of the type of performance or actions that a man must be engaged in to reach the highest goal possible for a human, which is merger, union with the divine. Om Yogesho Satchidanandam Vasudevam Rajapriyam Dharma Samstapakam Viram Krishno Vande Jagat Gurum Shri Krishno Vande Jagat Gurum. Om Shri Krishnarpanamastu.